every year that you live, that world will get bigger and brighter.
So how would you describe this movie to someone who doesn't know anything about the story?
That's a great question. This is a kaleidoscopic emotional experience about what it means to be alive and what moments are important.
That, I couldn't do better than that. Yes, it will make you reflect on the meaning in your life.
I love that. And it's so true. That's what I felt when I watched it. So this movie, a big takeaway that I got was about living your life to the fullest and with purpose. So what does that look like for both of you?
Do the best you can. Hold on to the people you love, to the people who matter. Dedicate yourself to people and ideas that will outlast you. Live with joy, live with love, live with courage. It's not easy, but it's a practice, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. Those are things that instinctively come to mind.
I love that. What was it about this story and then about this script that drew you in and said, you know, you want to see this up on the big screen?
It was one of the only stories I had ever encountered that was completely uncynical, but I thought still very true, and celebrated the joy in the little moments of life and our connections to each other, while not shying away from our mortality, from the loss of a world and of a universe that we're all going to go through one at a time, individually at some point. All of that was there. I had never read anything like it, and I was convinced that if we were able to translate that to the screen, I'd never seen anything like it. So yeah, it was a compulsion immediately to try to tell this story.
It was so, when I first read it, I was very moved by it, and I found it so sincere. And that sincerity I was incredibly drawn to, because it took seriously that the idea that our lives really matter to us and to the people we love, and that every ordinary life, however seemingly ordinary on the surface, is magic. And yes, life is hard and can be full of loss and suffering and struggle and grief, but it's also full of joy, and it's full of love, and it's full of connection. And actually, when our lives, in the last hours of our lives, it's the love and the joy that will remain.
You fill the whole thing. It'll be a universe.
What was it about the story that drew you both in?
I think for me, and when I first read the script, I was just sort of hit with all of these questions that I was asking myself about my own existence. Like, how am I spending my time? Am I doing it the way that in a way that I can look back on my life and be proud of what I did? And I thought that was a really interesting experience, and wanted to be a part of something that might spark that conversation in other people.
Yeah, I think it was the kind of tonality of the film, just its existential questions, its emotion. And I just thought it was really compelling, just on a kind of purely entertainment level, I was just really compelled by the mystery within it and the kind of investigation of the apocalypse or the end of the world, and just with that knowledge that something else was going on entirely, and that sort of the way that, Chuck Krantz is detailed in the story, and you're just like, what is happening? And, and just how all of those things are revealed. I just thought it was really compelling storytelling.
So what does living life to the fullest look like for you both?
I think for me, it's a big part of it is not letting fear stop me from doing anything. That's something that I try to do. And doing the things that bring me joy and happiness. But life can't just be that, because I don't think that is the way to be happy. I think that you need a balance of all different types of emotions and experiences. So it's also about just having gratitude in all situations.
Yeah, I think it's one of the interesting things about this film is like if you're confronted with a kind of apocalyptic situation, what is the business of the day? You know, just how does your day then run? Because you've still got to have a day, you know, and you'll have a good day and a bad day, even if you know that in a week or so everything's going to fall apart. And it's like, and I think for me it is still about kind of goals. You know, I'm very goal oriented. I don't know, you know, it's not something I can really shake, and I kind of like achieving things, like even sort of small things, and that's just an important part of, I don't know, it's just the way that I'm kind of built. And so I feel like I would still be doing that. I'd still be on Duolingo or something and me trying to figure out, you know, how to do this thing or X, Y, and Z. And
I'm so curious to ask, when you achieve the goal, does it bring you happiness, or is it more in the
I think
journey?
It is both.
It's both.
It is both
Yeah.
the doing of it. So in the sort of trying to do it, but then also that sense of achievement of it being done,
Yeah.
and you know, basking in the glory of that being achieved.
Yeah.
I do think that both things bring, like, they're just that sort of endorphin release.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you want more content like this, head over to movieguide.org. Movieguide is a nonprofit organization, and we are supported every day by viewers like you.